Goodness to you, not knowing whether it's morning, noon, afternoon, or night when you're watching, but we know it's all good. Once again, coming to you hot off the press is my message for today. I'm on early today because this is my interactive day. So as you come on, give me a shout out so I can give you a shout out and make sure we enjoy this message together. But yeah, just that's why I did the little extension of the time today of the starting time because as I was putting the message together, I thought of new stuff. And that's the blessing. You know what? And I want y'all to recognize that whenever you are talking about hiring a speaker, remember, a lot of times people say, wow, people get paid all of that money for speaking. No, we don't get paid for speaking. We get paid for preparing to speak. We get paid for preparing to deliver a message. So don't devalue the importance of the speakers that you want to hire and the messages that you want them to share. From the moment you book a speaker, they become a part of their hourly rate goes down. For instance, let's just think about it, and I'll just use a low figure just for it. If a speaker's, you say, oh well, my fee is $2,000, okay, and the speaking engagement is, and we're here in March. The speaking engagement is not until August, so. Right now, you may say, oh, I'm paying this person $2,000 an hour. But the moment you told me about this engagement in August, I start thinking about the engagement and I start looking for analogies that I can put to it. Tomorrow, so today I'm paid $2,000 an hour. 2 hours from now, I'm actually already down to $1,000 an hour. And then 4 hours later, still in the same day, I'm at $500 an hour. So imagine now 4 months down the line, how much I'm really getting paid by the hour. So I want you to think about that when you honor and value your speakers. And I want you to think about that when you honor and value yourself as a speaker. Okay, you don't get paid to speak. You get paid to prepare to deliver your message. Here's my first deliver. Hey there, Uncle Sporty. What's up, Roger Carroll? All right, all is well, and welcome back into the fold. Good to see you. We got how many minutes left before our message starts? What time? We got less than 2 minutes before we get into today's message, but it's good to see you. Good to see you. Get your front row seat. First one here, view, right? But so for those of you, if this is your first time on Glue Wednesday is born from the fact that people say that Wednesday is hump day. Well, that's the old school definition where we say, well, you either work or you have the weekend. They didn't look at how people have flexible weeks, but work schedules. But the truth is that I decided that Wednesday is the actual middle of a 7-day week, regardless of when you work. And so it's the middle of a traditional 7-day week. It keeps the week beginning and the week end together. So it's the glue of a 7-day week. And I see that puts me right in my favorite pose, and it's a prayerful pose. And so that's why it's about keeping it together. See, hump has to me the connotation of the need to get over. It's not really a bad word, but this is how I like to think and talk about positivity. It's the need to get over when in fact we need to keep it together. So we need that to be the glue. And the glue is what? It's God's love undoes everything. Not that God's love will tear things apart. We've got less than a minute for today's message. Not that it will tear things apart, but what is torn apart, it will bring it back together. It will glue it back together. Because don't we need to keep it together rather than worry about getting over? So that's why I created Glue Wednesday. And I created actually 3 years ago in 4 years in 2017. But last year during the pandemic, as we start today's message, last year during the pandemic, what we did is I was doing Wednesdays only, and then I upgraded it to help keep people more positive to a Monday, Wednesday, and Friday message. And in the process of doing that, we created what was called the GAS series. And the GAS is GAS, the Glue Alphabet series, where every broadcast, what I would do is I would use the next letter in the alphabet suggested by last week's viewers. So if you have a word next week, the word, the letter focus is going to be L. See, so spoiler alert. But if you have a word with that you want to get into the message with the letter L, you would put that in the thread right now. Hey, what's up, Shirley? She's driving. Okay, be safe, Tony, while you're driving. Okay. So so as we get through that, so as I'm explaining the gas series again, so next week, the letter will be L. This week, the focus is on the letter K. So once you put your words in the thread, and you could put it in even if you're watching the broadcast, it doesn't matter. You don't have to be live because I'll come back and check it. But, you know, if you put your letter in there, you'll get in there. So last week, here are the people who are my co-authors for this week because they put words in the thread that began with the letter K. So my co-authors this week are Ramona Hopkins with the word kindred, Carolyn Simmons Bright with the word kindness, Daniel Jackson with the word kindness also, a little double dose of kindness. And, you know, there's nothing wrong with that. You know, some people say, oh, they took my word already. Why do you have to feel like a word has been taken from you? Why do you have to feel like anything has been taken from you rather than shared? See, it's all about the mindset and the context. Earl Dickerson gave us karma. Vic Morris gave me knowledge. Rose Williams gave me know, which is an offshoot, the base of knowledge. And Jose Haas Valencia gave me knock. So who's knocking at the door with a hello today? Right now it's TJ Tennant. What's happening? Hello. I have not had a chance to chime in for a while, but that's okay. We've always saved you a seat, and we always know that you can watch the broadcast. So ladies and gentlemen, like TJ Tennant, don't worry that you didn't get to see it live. Thank God that you got to see it. Amen. All right. So, woo, don't make me feel like I'm preaching. Okay. But so there go my co-authors. Now, what I want to do today is I want to repeat a literary lesson that I got from my spiritual brother, Pastor Wyman Wimbush. And I try to repeat this every couple of broadcasts rather than every single one. But for years, I've used the premise that I'm using in the gas series of taking the letter, and where I've shared my creative formula for attaching words to the letter to help with writing poetry, letters, or resumes. So I've always told people, yeah, give me words that begin with this letter and I'll make that work for you. And I've just thought that was me being creative. But in conversation with Pastor Wimbush, I found out that he was happy to share with me that this is actually legitimately called the Bader-Meinhof phenomenon. The Bader-Meinhof phenomenon is the phenomenon where something you recently learned suddenly appears everywhere. And it's also called the frequency bias or illusion. It's the seeming appearance of newly learned or paid attention to concepts in unexpected places. So that's what happens. So for sure, you'll run into some, okay, breathe. As a speaker, remember to breathe. See, so now I run into some K words as I was preparing today's message beyond those that were given to me by my co-authors. And meanwhile, what now will happen is you'll get to enjoy the message, and your senses have been alerted to listen for the words that begin with the letter K, including those that were by our co-authors. And I tell you that because I want you to develop that practice, knowing that it's similar to when you attend a conference, a meeting, a class, anything where you're looking for certain information in context as confirmation of why you're attending. So your mind would be set to looking for those words for what you need, the words here in K, the words in K here in the message, but also whatever you are going to something for, the way you get it is by knowing what you came for. And I think that can give us a little prayerful hands of amen right there. Okay. So that's the key, is that once you know what you're looking for, that's one way for you to find it, is to plant it into your psyche, into your subconscious. Now, what I've decided to do with today's message is I've decided to go back to last year's K message, right? The gas series, the letter K. And last year I delivered the K message on June 24th. And I decided to go back to the K message from last year because I want to contrast it with where we are today. So today's message title, The Need for the KKK. With today's message title, The Need for the KKK, what I'll do is I'll start out by pulling the hood off and realizing and revealing the fact that the KKK is often right in front of your face, hidden in plain sight, until you understand its need. In fact, there it goes again. You see, my first K is actually need. K-N-E-A-D. And the need is, according to dictionary.com, is to work, as in dough, clay, etc., into a uniform mixture by pressing, folding, and stretching. Some synonyms that I found are pummel, work, pound, squeeze, wring, twist, crush, form, shape, mold, mix, and blend. On wordhippo.com, I found some more synonyms. Yet I also found a use that I want to sub-highlight. And the use is to mingle or blend. To mingle or blend. That's what needing is. And some synonyms for that, I'll come back to after I take a look and see who I got to give a shout out to. Okay. Oh, Roger Carroll put a word in there for next week already. Okay. Always up to grading my vocabulary. But some synonyms that I found in wordhippo.com under the definition of to mingle or blend are intermix, blend, combine, mix, merge, fuse. And then what I did is I looked at some antonyms as well. See, sometimes we have to look at what's against us so that we can know what's for us. So some antonyms are separate, unmix, clean, as in to clean out, not to buff and shine, disconnect, disjoin, divide, exclude. Okay, let's stick a pin right now in need and come back to it after mixing it into the next two Ks, because I first wanted to upgrade what we already know. And what we already know is that words are powerful, but here's the upgrade. Words are most powerful when taken in context. They are most powerful according to their context. You see, if you allow need to just have it sound in your ear, you'll misuse it and let it knock you down into a state of confusion. Think about how my title touched on your emotions when you thought about the Ku Klux Klan, when you heard the Ku Klux Klan, the KKK. You thought about the Ku Klux Klan, and that touched on your emotions. That knocked you down. See? So if you only allow your ear to be in charge of the communication, you're going to be in trouble. Even though listening is the number one communication skill, but if you go back and play this message, you'll hear that I've mentioned the word context several times already. And that's the key. It's always the context. And so first, that's what I want to do is remind you or upgrade the fact of the saying that the words are most powerful according to their context. Second, I want to remind you that we often get sucked into the headlines and we forget to read the subtitles, which is where we often get our message. So again, see, the headline was we need the KKK. There's no subtitle in that, but the key is that's what in life we read the headlines on the news, on the newspaper, on the ads. But before the news comes on, it says here's the big get the big heading, and during the news they'll cover it, and we have to wait to get the subtitles. And see, so actually my subtitle is my second K. And my second K is one you've heard me put in the subtitle many times. My second K is King. Who's your messenger? And what messages have you inhaled throughout 2020? Who's your messenger? And what messages have you inhaled throughout 2020? Oh, actually, and of course, throughout your life. You've heard me use that as the subtitle. So my second K is King. But yeah, who's your king? Who's your messenger? Who are you listening to? Now, in last year's message, I read the poem that I'm going to actually share this Friday on Gift Friday. So make sure you tune in on Friday. TJ, you're back. Come on back Friday. But tune in Friday. I'm going to read a message, and I call it Gift Friday because I'll read the poem, then I'll drop it in so that it becomes a downloadable, colorful gift to you that you can use to cement the message and share it with somebody else. And the poem I'm going to use Friday is, "In fact, I do know," which is attached to this affirmation in my book. And in my book, Starting Today, here's the affirmation in Starting Today. It says, blind faith. I've used that term several times in describing my belief in myself and my business. And I've had it said to me, you don't know how many people you've helped, et cetera, et cetera. And I've humbly moved the conversation along. Then I realized that I could better share my gift by knowing and acknowledging my source. I don't seek to mock or discredit their comments. I seek to strengthen my spirit by knowing that I am doing the work created for me. How did you get where you are today? You see, God is my source. As I help you, to him goes the glory. Who's your king? Who is your messenger? See, I know that that's the message that I'm carrying through, that I'm inhaling and carrying through throughout 2020 and now into 2021. My messenger has been God. I know that. And so you have to realize that I've inhaled, okay, oops, wait a minute. Oh, okay. Oh, good. I'm not, okay. I thought I lost my place. All right. But yeah, God is my source. And as I help him, as I help you, to him goes the glory. So we get to share that message. And see, so I've inhaled intermixing, talking about what messages have you inhaled. I've inhaled intermixing while some sought to drench me with dividing. I've inhaled the joy of merging when I was asked to separate. I've inhaled a double dose of kindness where I was directed to disconnect and disjoin. Last year, I said and did what I'll repeat right now. My message today is brought to you by the letter K and the t-shirt that I'm wearing. It's the t-shirt that I'm wearing is of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., yet not just because of his wonderful and glorious last name connected to mine, which probably makes us related in some way, somehow, or sometime, but because this t-shirt is a flashback to my volunteer time spent at the Dr. Martin Luther King Boys and Girls Club annual primary fundraiser. Roger Carroll, you've been there, the King Legacy Awards, which I co-chaired for several years. You see, Dr. King knew that he was making a difference. He knew what he was inhaling. And like Moses, he knew that he wasn't going to get to see it. So I know how much I love God and how I'm being used as his vessel to save lives by needing my inspirational messages into the sometimes unknown lives assigned to me. I'm needing my inspirational messages into the sometimes unknown lives assigned to me. All of us have lives assigned to us. That's why I say you choose your messengers carefully and recognize you're carefully being chosen as a messenger. There's someone who needs you, NEEDS, and then you have to need KNEAD into their spirit. So that's why we have to be careful and not just careful, but conscious, and sometimes rejoice in the things that we do. Celebrate who we are because someone needs us to be who we are. That's why with that saying that I showed you from Starting Today, blind faith, because I used to say, oh yeah, I just did it by blind faith. But then I said, no. If I call it blind faith, I'm not acknowledging that I'm doing what God sent me to do. Is that what you're doing? Are you strictly going by blind faith, by something that people call luck, that we don't want to have to believe in because luck is not going to get you there? Luck can get your foot in the door, but if you don't have faith, if you're not good enough, if you don't see yourself as worthy, you can't get in and your foot will just get crushed in that door. Know whose message you're delivering. Know whose message you're delivering. And you need to know who your messenger is and what you've inhaled throughout your life. Who's the messenger and what have you been inhaling throughout your life? Not just 2020. What have you inhaled throughout your life? Because you've exhaled into someone else's. And you have exhaled as someone else's messenger. You are involved in the karma of your existence. And according to wellandgood.com, there are 12 laws of karma at play in your life, whether you realize it or not. First, the great law, which is also called cause and effect, the law of creation, humility, growth, responsibility, connection, force, giving and hospitality, here and now, change, patience and reward, significance and inspiration. The 12 laws of karma. And I left it there so that you can go to wellandgood.com if you want to read the printout of what each one of those represents and what they and what difference they make in people's lives. So I don't think, and so we can take a minute to get a love it up there. We always got a moment for a love it, don't we? All right. And so that's the key is, you are living out, you are, 12 laws of karma placed in your life, whether you realize it or not. So when you go and read those, you'll see how they are at play. And that becomes the key. Why? Because that's the responsibility we have to get to the third K, which is know. Do you know who you are? Do you know who you are? You see, having that knowledge is important. Knowing who you are is very important, but it comes with a risk. Okay. And it's a nice risk. See, my risk is from my book, Ac-Firmations. It's risk, R-I-S-K. Recognition is success's key. When you know who you are, you take a risk because there is always someone who doesn't want you to manifest your blessing. In fact, instead of taking a risk, I like to call it giving a risk. I want you to give a risk. See, when you are comfortable with who you are, you give of yourself. And that's what we need you to do. We need you to give of yourself. One of my affirmations, but that when I first started my business, I used to just call them sportyisms. And so it's not an affirmation, it's a sportyism. And I'll have to post it in here later, but it's sportyism number 1, and it's give. Sooner or later, you'll catch up to what you've received. Give. Sooner or later, you'll catch up to what you've received. See, I like to say you can't beat God giving. And so the risk is not taking a chance to be yourself, but giving a chance to be yourself. Give God control. Give yourself that honor and that blessing, not the blind faith, but the knowledge of knowing that you are a legitimate and worthy messenger who will give of yourself because you know that what you give is going to be infused in the proper place and used by the proper person. Last year, we saw enough insecure people taking advantage of fear and emotion. Now, see, I just did the risk thing. I just did it to somebody else. I just did that to someone who didn't and still doesn't see it that way. So just as I say, when you take the chance, when you know who you are, you take a risk. See that thing going across the bottom? When you know who you are, you take a risk because there's always someone who doesn't want you to manifest your blessing or see things your way. I just did it to that person who didn't and still doesn't see it that way. So my focus must not be on one of anger with them. My focus must be one of love for us, including them. These last weeks, I've talked about empathy and how we have to find a way to respect people with opposing viewpoints as our brothers and sisters who we just disagree with. To hate them would be to join them and justify their hate. But I want to say that one again. Empathy is we have to find a way to respect people with opposing viewpoints as brothers and sisters who we disagree with. To hate them would be to join them and justify their hate. So instead, we need to share. Instead, as we share kindred spirits of hope, positivity, and love, and as you trust me to be your messenger, I ask that you also trust yourself to recognize this message. Your message will be delivered when you give, not take, the risk of being who you are. Your message will be delivered when you give, not take the risk of being who you are. When you give and give of who you are, your message gets delivered if you give in honesty. Authenticity. See, it's not about being insecure. Or your message may be that you're insecure because whatever it is, somebody's going to receive it. But they may be receiving it as the best way to go. And if you have ill intentions, that's the difference between praying and praying. P-R-A-Y versus P-R-E-Y. And so that's, again, why you have to look back at 2020 and think about the messages that you inhaled and how you exhaled and passed them along, and to whom. And where is their life headed now? Most importantly, where's yours headed? Because you can't necessarily do something about where someone else's life is headed. You can only help those who want your help. And that's some of that weight that I want you to take off your shoulder. You can't help everybody, but you have to be willing to be there to help them when they ask for it in sincerity. And that was one of the challenges in 2020. When you have an insecure people person giving advice, when you ask for help and you're believing that they have your best intentions in mind and they don't, that's the risk. See, giving of yourself isn't just about getting. It isn't just about giving out who you are, but it's how you receive who you are, how you receive your messengers. Because once you release, well, this is who I am, so therefore this is how I choose my messenger. See, so it's a risk. That's why you take the risk when you decide to be yourself. And meanwhile, even as your ears perk up, your ear perked up right to the headline, the need for the KKK. Your ears perked up when you read that headline, but the context of the message connects you to the subtitle. And it also helps you to see, because I want to go back to that pin I put in need. And I want you to go back and see the need for the KKK as the need being that it has to be eradicated through the positive synonyms of worked, pounded, squeezed, wrung, twisted, crushed, formed, shaped, molded, mixed, blended, if, where, and when possible. That's what we need to do with that first KKK that we heard, and recognize that what we need to do is need and work that thing out. Work it out of your system. You keep the positivity in your system. That becomes your key. There's certain things, just like I said, the people you can't help, there's certain things that you have no control over. And if somebody has decided that this is who they are, you can have that conversation and confirm that's through her. But can you change their mind by beating on them? Can someone who you consider a racist change your mind about the fact that can they make you see that you're the racist and not them? I would believe your answer is no. Well, guess what? The door swings both ways. If you confront somebody, you will never change their mind. You never will, because they may fake compliance to get you out of their face, but you have not changed their mind. And if you have not changed their spirit, you have not changed their mind. So let us know for sure. See, let us know for sure that last year, as we rewind, last year reminded us that no one knows when their time is up or when it'll come. No one knows when their time is up or when it'll come. So what we have to do is people have to be reassured. Excuse me. People have, with 2020, we have reassured, rebonded, rebounded, received, recommitted, rededicated, reestablished, refused, regained. I would like to use refueled there as well. Regained, rehearsed, reinforced, rejoined, rekindled, released, remembered, renewed, reopened, replenished, required, resumed, returned, reunited, revived, rewarded, rewarded, re-examined. And I couldn't find a word with Z to put re in front of. So we'll have to just go with the sound of resonated. So that's the A through Z of how we relived 2020. We've come together in more ways than we've been separated. We've realized how important it is to need to know our King and know that we can make it through another storm if we stick together. That's my message for the day, y'all. Oh, thank you, Roger Carroll. You the vocabulary lady. Rezone. Yes, we've also rezoned. If you're on live today, you saw that I had to delay the start because as I was putting the message together, I thought of new stuff, and I could have gotten on at 1:00, but I would have rushed it. And I said, no, I want to go back over that. But I love that. I love that. And we've rezoned. So add that to all your re's, including Aretha Franklin. Riri, okay, rest in peace, amen. But that's the key, is we have done a lot of reading. We've read up, and we need to work things out, get our message together by checking on who our messenger is, and then knowing that we can make it again. We can make it through this storm because our track record says that we've made it through the last storm. What you got to say, Becky? Loving the facial hair. Oh, and you know, and wow, talk about remembered. I remember Becky and I met on the airplane, sitting next to one another on the airplane and talking about, how you could be scared on the airplane on your first flights and all of that kind of stuff. Oh, see, you have to remember. And here's Jody throwing something on us. Resilient. Yes. Oh, of course she's in the military. Yeah. Okay. But yeah, and see now, of course, we could spoil alert to where I should go with next week would be in the R, but I'm not. The R is far enough down the line where all these re-words will come in there. But y'all, you know what? Also, throw some re-words in there and just look at and remember what re means. What re means? It means to do it again. It's not just I could say revisit, but you don't define a word by using the word, but it's to do it again. It's to go back and enjoy something again, including there's some people who go back and enjoy doing bad things, but that's their choice. But what kind of things can you do to renew your faith? That's one of my favorites. And I'm almost tempted to go down each of these, but as you can see, just as this is the alphabet series, those are from my A to Z of how to read. I like that. A to Z of how to read. Okay. But again, realize that next week we'll be using the letter L. So words that if you want to be one of my co-authors next week, put a word that begins with the letter L. You don't need to know the topic. I never know the topic. That's why I had to delay the broadcast, because the topic comes to me on Tuesday night. So I figure out my topic. Tell you how I do it. I figure out my topic on Tuesday night, and then I go to sleep with it. So I'm praying on it. And then in the morning, I start to put it together, and it may change. And therefore, so I try to start as early as possible so that I can get in enough time to research it. But a lot of times I'll get a topic that gets so deep on me that I'm like, oh my God, now I found that out. Remember I told you about context? I'm like, I can't deliver that unless I deliver this other part. So I got to go here as well. That's what we do in life, y'all. That's giving of ourselves. We go the extra yard for other people. Don't forget to go the extra yard for yourself. In fact, don't forget to go the extra inch for yourself. Do remember to take another moment for yourself, or give another moment for yourself. See, it's always about in the vocabulary as well. So next week, if you want to get be one of my co-authors at any time, you can just come back and drop a word with the letter L in the feed, and I'll get you in as one of my co-authors next time, and I will find a way to do that. I'm Sporty King, and I want you to be sure to catch this message, and always any of my broadcasts, Monday, Wednesday, or Friday, here on Facebook Live. But the Monday message is a tape message that inspirational message that I put on. But on Fridays, I do Gift Friday. And so that's live. And then on Wednesdays, this is my interactive session that I love doing on Glue Wednesday. So if you want to get some shout outs in the feed, this is where you come. It's on Wednesdays. But also, please, all of these messages are uploaded to my YouTube channel. I would love for you to go to, even if you're watching it here on Facebook, go to my YouTube channel and subscribe. But also, you can always, just the same way you do Netflix, you can go to YouTube to my channel and you can binge on my messages, because they're in playlists according to whether they're a Glue message or the Gift Friday message or the Monday Morning Moment message. That's what you'll find. But again, please go there and subscribe. So, because there's an advantage, come on, we family. There's an advantage to having subscribers on YouTube. That's how I can eventually monetize YouTube, because of the number of subscribers that I have, because then I'll be able to sell advertising onto that spot. See, this is what we do to move one another along. Love is good. The message is always great, and it's always from God. That's why GLUE, God's love undoes everything. Whatever has been torn apart, God's love will put it together. Let him put it together for you. And thank you for helping me get it together here on Glue Wednesday. I'll see you soon. Ciao.